It's difficult to single out one line from the Korda range that I love the most, but I've got to say for the last 5 years I've been using the Contour. We tested it for 3 years before its release and I've put it through so many different situations and it never let me down. People wonder, why do you just bring it out in £12? Well, when we tested it for so long, and that was the best line, it was great for casting, and most fluorocarbons aren't great for casting. They're not very supple, but this one, it sinks like a brick, it's very abrasion resistant and nearly invisible. And when you're fishing pressured lakes in the UK and those carp are sort of coming under your rod tips, the last thing you want to do is spook them out of your swim. And with a fluorocarbon, you know it's all draping down, sunk into the lake bed, and you're not spooking any carp in the area. And you also know when you hook into that carp of your dreams, it's not going to let you down. Even at 12-pound breaking strain, I've put it through loads of different situations where fish have taken me in reed beds, through lily pads, and I've just pulled them straight back out, and there hasn't even been a chink in the Contour's armour.
The line I've used almost exclusively for the last 5 or 6 years is Contour. We field tested it for 4 years before we even brought it out, and during that period I've had loads of big fish from the UK on it, loads of English 40s. I've fished at 120 yards at Wenton Country Park. I've fished right under my feet as well in really weedy conditions, and it always stands up to the job. I've caught fish over 70 pounds on it in France and fish from various waters over 50 pounds as well, and it just never lets me down. The reason I love it so much is because it sinks like a stone. It's on the bottom virtually straight away from the rod tip all the way out to where you're fishing. I always fish it super slack so the fish can come in, feed in the area, not come into contact with the lines, and it definitely gets me more bites. And it is super durable. Only comes in 033, which is £12, but that is all you need. I've had epic battles with really big fish going down the back of bars in the UK, pulling them back up through weed beds, getting them in every time. And you run your fingers down the line and there's no nicks or anything in it, so it lasts a lot longer than normal mono. Like all fluorocarbons, it's much harder to see the normal mono in the water, but my tip for extended use is keep it clean. So wind it back through an odourless baby wipe or a Thinking Angler's line cleaner, take all the grit off it and it will last a very long time. It is more wiry than normal mono, so it doesn't cast quite as far. I use this stuff for my fishing up to 100 yards, but with pinpoint accuracy. And put it on a big spooled reel, something like a Daiwa Wingcast or a Daiwa Basia. It'll absolutely fly off of those, and it'll cope with probably 90% of normal fishing situations. It does cost more than normal mono, but I think it's worth every penny.
£15 brown subline has to be my personal favourite. I use it for all situations up to 120 yards. My top tip would be to change this when I'm fishing in clearer water where the green comes into its own. I'll use this when I'm casting even over 120 metres, and in that situation I would use the £10 like I did at Gigantica last year and still managed to land impressive fish of 47 and 46 pounds. Get on it.